Welcome to the Joy Work Show, the podcast that goes beyond the surface of business right to the heart to explore the real joy and the stories behind success, not just the moments of celebration, but the challenges that pave the way for them. Hiya, I'm Diane, and on this podcast, we know that joy isn't just about the good times. Often the greatest joy comes right after the greatest challenge. Now, if you've ever felt like you're shouting into the void with your marketing, posting, creating, showing up, but still not seeing the traction you want, then this is the episode for you. Today, I'm joined by Bryony, a visibility and growth strategist who knows exactly what it takes to get seen, get heard, and grow your business in a way that actually works. After 25 years in pharmaceutical sales, Bryony made a bold pivot into the online business world, helping service providers build visibility with intention. She's all about strategy over guesswork, a girl after my own heart, consistency over quick fixes, and creating a business that fits your life, not the other way around. We're diving into the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to visibility, why marketing isn't just about showing up, it's about showing up right, and how to define success on your own terms, and why that matters more now than ever. The power of community, resilience, and evolving with your business. This conversation is fun, packed with insight, real talk on what it really takes to build sustainable growth. But as always, it's so much better when you hear it from the guests themselves. So let's go. Hi, Bryony, and welcome to the Joy Work Show. I am so delighted to welcome you here today. We've been in each other's worlds for a little amount of time and we know a little bit about each other. But for everybody out there who doesn't know who you are and wants to know a little bit more, tell us who you are, what you do, and how you got here.
Thanks, Diane. So I'm Bryony. I'm a visibility and growth strategist from Bryony Makes Marketing Easy. And I absolutely love helping online service providers, coaches and mentors increase their visibility with intent to attract more clients and make more money without overwhelm. But it's the without overwhelm that's really, really important to me because I'm also really passionate about reducing stress and improving work-life balance. So I don't have professional qualifications in that, but what I do have is lived experience, which kind of brings me to how the hell did I get here? Because I sometimes wonder. So I've had a 25-year career in pharmaceutical sales and marketing. Prior to that, I was just a little country girl living in Devon. My only ambition was to marry a farmer so I could look after the orphan lambs. And somewhere along the way, farmer turned into farmer, as in pharmaceuticals. I ended up being like quite a senior person in the pharmaceutical industry. And then the last 7 of those years, I spent working digital agency side. So we were digital agencies that created digital marketing strategies for pharmaceutical clients. And then we sort of delivered and implemented as well. And I suffered workplace stress because the workloads were just so ridiculous, particularly in COVID. COVID was when it brought it all to a head because everybody in pharmaceuticals had something to say about COVID. All the patient pathways changed and they had to be communicated really quickly. So whilst everybody else was on furlough, I was working 16-hour days at my desk in my office. And I also unfortunately suffered workplace bullying a couple of times at the hands of senior management. So that's why I'm really, really passionate about work-life balance, reducing stress, and also creating a world where we lift each other up and we don't tear each other down. So I knew for a long time that I wanted to get out of the industry. I tried several different things, but always, it's a bit like the mafia, the pharmaceutical industry. Once you're out, they sort of pull you back in. And then in January of last year, so January 2024, I got made redundant. 8th of January, I hadn't been back to work after Christmas because I had COVID and I was really, really poorly with it. And they said to me, I know you're off sick, but you have to come to this meeting. I was like, I'm just too poorly, I can't. They said, we'll be there. And I thought, well, we all know where this is going then. I got made redundant and I kind of thought, oh, I'll just walk into another job quite easily. But the problem for me is my location because I live in East Devon. And people, the pharmaceutical industry in particular, were just moving away from having people working from home for no apparent reason. It had all worked perfectly fine during COVID, and all of a sudden they wanted people back in the office. So I didn't find that role But I knew I wanted out anyway. So I thought, right, if I can't find the job I want, I will create the job I want. And that's where I got the idea for Bryony Makes Marketing Easy, because I had so many friends who had their own small businesses, not necessarily online ones, but they had their own small businesses. And they kept saying to me, my business would be so much more successful if only I knew how to market it properly. And I was like, but you do, you're overcomplicating this matter. Marketing does not have to be complicated. So that's where the whole idea came from. And at the beginning, I was not very niched at all, even though I tell all my clients to be really niche. And I just said, I help busy small business owners make marketing easy. Well, show me a small business owner who's not busy. And marketing is such a broad term that in the end, I decided, well, I really needed to hang my hat on something. So I chose online service providers, coaches, and mentors because that's what I am. So I was living that life and it just seemed like the right fit. And then I chose visibility and growth because at the end of the day, you can do every marketing tactic going, but what you're actually trying to do is increase your visibility to make more money. So that's why I hung my hat on visibility and growth.
I love that. And we've had a very similar history in very different sectors, but I had a 20 plus year career. And I think I just keep saying plus rather than put a figure on it so I can pretend I'm younger than I actually am.
Mine's probably more than 25 by now, but I just stick with the 25.
I think it's going to be like 30 plus years, and I'm going to be like, it's 20 plus year career that I've had, because I'm far too young to have actually had that length of a career in direct sales and marketing in the UK. And it was actually become a mother that pushed me out. But what I see time and time again, and quite often with females, is it's that being pushed out of roles for multitude of reasons.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you raised that, because this is another big passion of mine. My absolute mission, vision, overall goal is to create success for women outside of the traditional workplace. Because what I noticed as soon as I came into the online world was that it was full of people who were going through menopause. They were in a caring responsibility, whether it's for children or elderly parents or a spouse. There were lots of women with neurodiversities, and it just highlighted to me how the traditional workplace does not cater for these women. So I just thought, well, like myself, I thought if I can't find the role that I want, I'm going to create my own role. And I'm really, really passionate about achieving success for other women outside of the traditional workplace, on our terms and how we want it, because it doesn't cater for us.
No, it doesn't cater for us, and it doesn't cater for so many. And obviously for us and for people who are mothers and people going through the menopause, it is gender specific.
Yes.
That's why there is so many women in the online space. But you see it also now time and time again with people wanting the flexibility. You know, I'm in a household that I'd like to think is as 50-50 as it can be. Sometimes it's 60-40, sometimes it's 80-20, both ways. But, you know, he also needs it to be flexible as well, because he has a family and he has responsibilities, and I'm growing my business. So there has to be give and take. And whilst I'm the primary caregiver, or, you know, the primary person that will go, you know, and drop everything when you need to. But there has been times that he's done that as well. And you just see time and time again. And there's quite a lot that I've tried to unpack from like your story and what I've written down to kind of speak about. And it's so often seen that the online space has created this place where people can, if they do the right things, if they work smartly, if they work strategically, that you can build a business that gives you flexibility, gives you the business that you want. And I have a little bit of problem with the word freedom, because as a mother, as a business owner, none of those things particularly give me freedom. But what they do give me is flexibility and choices.
The freedom to choose.
Yeah, and freedom. So that choice is, I do have that freedom to choose. But when people buy, and I know you'll have strong feelings on this as well, because I've seen your answers to your joy questions, which we'll come to later. But this freedom lifestyle that people talk about, I don't necessarily buy into that narrative. But what I do buy into is building a life that's as close to your dream life as you want it to be, with the responsibilities and the family that you have, that the way you want your life to be,
Yeah.
not ever going to fully get away from responsibilities and, just to go off on a minute's notice with freedom.
Yeah, but I think that's a really important point, because as women, we're allowed to enjoy those responsibilities that we have. And maybe we don't want to give them up. We just want to have a world where we can fit our working life around them.
Yeah, exactly that. So when you were talking about the fact of like the pharmaceutical industry moving away from people working from home and that hybrid working and that flexible working, how important do you think it is that businesses begin to look at, and let's forget us in the online space because it's what we do, but how important do you think it is that actual big businesses that we're used to working with, that we know how they work in and out, but they really need to kind of adapt to that in the
Yeah.
future?
I've championed this for many, many years. So I've actually worked from home way before COVID time. I probably worked from home. I was going to say 10 years, but it's probably getting on 15 years now. And the reason for that is because of the locations that I've lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said, when I've approached people, either they've approached me looking for me to come and work for them, or I've approached them, I've always said to them, attract the talent you want to attract, regardless of where they live.
Exactly.
And that's what
And
this
it's that,
flexible hybrid working allows them to do.
but that's it. And it's also having like a happy, contented workforce,
Yes.
because you live in Devon for a reason, right? It
Yeah.
might be where you're from, but the reason you've not moved to London or Manchester or anywhere else for that matter is because you love where you are. It's a beautiful part of the country. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Choose to live somewhere like that. It is a lifestyle. Just like if you want a city life, you would choose one of the big cities to go and live in. So
Yeah.
to have you working flexibly, to use your talent, to use your knowledge, to have a great person within the company, I just think it's so short-sighted. And the more
Yeah.
people you see in the online space, while it's fantastic and it's amazing seeing individuals do that and have their own businesses, the UK economy would be a whole lot better off
That's right.
if they made the most of the people who, some of them will want jobs. Some of
Yeah.
them will want to work and be part of a team and be in a company and believe in something in the company's values. And I just think there's something really missing.
Yeah, and also, like, for someone like me, I know that I don't work well in an office. It causes me anxiety to know that I have to be in a certain place every day, because I have a chronic stomach condition, and sometimes I won't feel well and I won't feel like traveling. But also, I get really distracted in an office. I can't concentrate. Whereas when I'm at home, I can produce a huge amount of really good work because I don't have those distractions. I'm not anxious and I'm comfortable in my surroundings.
No, exactly. And I have chronic illnesses, and I actually can't believe that when I look back at the times when I wasn't well, the things that I did to
Yes.
hide, and the amount of times I was found in a toilet collapsed and things like, just, but you just did these things. One, I was a woman in a male dominated industry, so I never wanted to say what was wrong with me. And it was just that kind of push through. And now that I do have a little bit more flexibility and choice, I'm like, I have no idea how I did some of the things that I did. And I hate to think that I was part of that issue of doing it for my staff and so it's definitely something that as my business grows and anybody that I work with, and things are changing, things are
Yes.
different, conversations are happening. But I just think hearing your story, it's still so relevant. It was just
That's
last
right.
year that you were made redundant, that you were
Yeah.
pushed out. So when you were made redundant, did you just see that opportunity for that marketing? Like you said, you were talking to friends who were small business owners, and it's that thing, it's twofold. Did you see the opportunity, but also you said, and I completely agree with this, that people are scared of marketing. It's such a big
Mhm.
word and nobody really understands it unless they've been in it.
Yeah. So I always knew the opportunity was there, and this idea had always been burning in the back of my head for a long time. When I first got made redundant, I just wanted to get another job because I'd literally just taken on a mortgage when the interest rates were really high by myself, and I'd never done that before, and I had all this responsibility of how do I keep a roof over my head. So my first port of call was just get another job, get the dollar coming in. But when I had time to sit and reflect, I thought, well, there are more than one way to earn money. And maybe I can just do this. Maybe I can give it a go. And I just thought, if I don't do it now, I never will.
And I've definitely seen you know, I knew you quite early in your story. We're still really early in your story, but
Mm,
I'm still really early in my story. I just launched slightly before were you, but I've seen the trajectory that you're on, and I've seen the changes and the adaptations, and like you said, you didn't necessarily have a niche to begin with, and you've really
yeah.
niched down and what you've done. So if you could say to anybody kind of going into the online space at this precise moment in time, a year in, I take it you are a year in now, aren't you? Nearly.
About 8 months, I think. Yeah, so
Okay.
it was in May last year.
Oh, mate, okay.
Yeah,
So nearly a year in, coming up
nearly a year.
to that, what would you say to them about marketing? What would you say is the kind of first thing that they need to look at? Because like you say, without visibility, doesn't matter what
Yeah.
else you do, doesn't matter how good your offers are. Without
So
visibility, you've not got
when I
much.
talk about visibility, I always talk about visibility with intent, because what is the point of being visible if you don't have an objective for it? Because once you have an objective and an end goal for that visibility, you can best select the activities to help you meet that goal rather than trying to do everything, be everywhere and run yourself ragged. So always think about visibility with intent rather than visibility per se.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I would say be prepared to be adaptable and to evolve as you go along. And I say this to every single client that I talk to. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of work with people on their ideal clients. I don't like to call it ideal client. I like to think about purpose-led, heart-aligned clients. And people will say, I've done that work. And I'm like, I'm sure you have, but your ideal client, your purpose-led client will change over time. It will evolve as you evolve, and it will evolve as you introduce different services. So sometimes you can have a different client for a different service. So I think you always need to be revisiting that. And I've probably evolved mine, let me think, I'd say at least 3 times since I started back in May. And each time it gets that little bit more specific. And that's when your messaging starts to land.
That's it, and it's learning, and part of marketing that people underestimate massively, and it's something we're doing in the Joy Work Members Club at this precise moment in time, is they don't look at the data. So
Yeah.
they'll say, "Oh, I've done that work and I've done that thing," but they don't look at what they're being told. And by data, I mean the numbers in their business, where their messages are coming from. Are people DMing them? Are they getting physical leads coming into their business? Where is that coming from? And also what their clients are telling them.
Yes.
You know, I spent a specific example for me was last year. I'm a certified business strategist, and I was only calling myself a strategist. And it was one of my clients introduced me to somebody else as our coach. And I'd spent so long trying not to call myself coach
Mm,
because of connotations in the online space and a bit of negativity. And there's negativity around whatever you call yourself. So what I
yes.
thought I was trying to get away from. And I spent all this time, but that's how she understood. She was like, no, I know you're a strategist, but to me, it goes more than that. You're not just teaching me strategy, you're working on my mindset, you're telling me how to show up. And I was like, right, okay. And I was like, why am I not using
Yeah.
people understand those words? So when people are
It's funny you
looking
should
to
say that, actually, because I've been calling myself a visibility and growth strategist, but I'm just trying to move myself over to saying visibility and growth coach, because that's what I do. But I saw somebody put out online the other day, like, what's the difference between a strategist and a coach? And I think it was something along the lines of a coach will help you to come up with ideas of what to do, whereas a strategist will tell you how to do it. And I don't necessarily agree with that. Actually, I think a strategist comes up with ideas, but when you have a client in front of you, you can't just say, you will do that, because that's what you need to do. You have to then turn those ideas into something that works for your client. So, but what I do is coach and mentor. So that's what I'm trying to call myself now.
That's what I literally can tailor strategist, coach, and mentor,
Yeah.
because to some people I'm their strategist because they work with somebody else on their mindset, but they like how I tell them how to do things, which is what a
Yeah.
strategist does. Other people are like, I kind of got my business strategy down, I'm good at that, but I need a coach to work on my doubt and my imposter syndrome and how I'm showing up. And I need you to coach me and ask me those questions and why those whys. And just like I'm a business strategist, but I have somebody who helps me,
Yeah.
because I'm good at telling other people, but we never tell ourselves. So
Exactly.
I need somebody who I phone and say, oh my God, I've had a wobble today and I can't do this. And I'm meant to be recording a
Yeah.
podcast, but I can't show up and I don't know how. And she gives me a kick up the backside and I'll go and do the thing that I need to do. So we
Yeah.
all have those those people, and it just found that when I was working with people, they needed different things. And whilst I don't want to confuse, I also don't want to limit the way that I work.
Yeah, and the thing about having a job title is it doesn't always allow for flexibility of your services. So whilst I hang my hat on the area of visibility and growth, how I do it is actually really dependent on what my client wants. So whether they, like you said, whether they want a strategist, a coach, a mentor, kick up the backside, I can be all of those things.
Yeah, well, that's it. I always say there is, like, my tagline's like tough love partner.
Yeah.
I definitely am. But that was because somebody said to me when I was opening my membership, people were saying to me, well, I'm coming to you for the tough love. That's
Yeah.
what you do. And I said to my family and my partner, I was like, so I've thought about putting tough love in my messaging. And they were like, yeah, that's pretty much your whole life, Diane. And I was like, all right, you could have told me that a year ago. You'd have saved me a lot of pain.
Yes, I know.
You just told me that that's what it was. So, and that's been the most like aligned that I felt. But like you, I have to revisit it all of the time. I've been in business 18 months, maybe coming up to that, maybe in March or something like that. And I need to revisit it all. I need to revisit my mission, my vision, my values all of the time, because I'm constantly learning and adapting and changing. And what I do now is massively different to what I did that first day when I launched and thought, this is how I'm going out
Yeah.
into the.
But that should be happening throughout your entire business career. It's not something like, oh, I need to do that or I have to do that. It's this is part of what being a business owner is.
Yeah, this is it. And it's part of your strategy, and it's part of how your month's set up. And, when I work with my clients, I say, we've got a bit of Groundhog Day stuff to do, the same things you do every single day. And ultimately, that's what marketing is. Marketing sometimes gets this slightly sexy appeal to it, and people think it's exciting, and people think that it's the shiny stuff and everything else. And while it's great to get all the branding right and get all that done, and it's so important, unless you're doing the other bits, unless you're doing the Groundhog Day stuff, unless you're doing the visibility and the consistency, the rest of it falls away. Because like you said, you can't, it's all right having the best logo and the shiniest website and the shiniest branding to put out there, but if your messaging is off, you don't know who your client is, you don't know what you're doing it for, you don't know your why, then everything else is going to be a little bit difficult to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way I define marketing, so I think most people don't like the term marketing, including me, and I've been in it for 25 years. But the way I define marketing is that it's anything that you do that brings your purpose-led heartline client into your business. And that can be anything from the way your shop front looks, to the messaging you put out there, to the booking process that you have, to your lead generation. Even lead generation comes under marketing. When marketing stops is when you're directly asking for the business, and that's selling.
Yeah, exactly. And marketing starts as soon as somebody sees you. If you turn up to a networking event, you are the marketing. How you put yourself out there, your Instagram page, your website, your business card that they see dropped on the floor somewhere, whatever it is, that is your first point of contact. It's like when I used to do, and I still work with a lot of clients on customer experience, customer service, that type of thing. When they used to say, when does somebody become a customer? Somebody becomes a customer as soon as they see you. Somebody becomes a customer as soon as they dial a telephone number, press a button, engage with your business. They don't need to become a customer as in an exchange, a transaction. If you treat them from a customer, like from that point, your experience, your marketing, your processes, your sales, everything else becomes so much easier because everybody feels seen and heard and appreciated.
That's right.
And it's those things. So what do you think are the biggest challenges for the online space specifically? What do you see are the same themes that come up again and again?
I think the noise, because it is so busy, it's quite saturated, and it's really hard to cut through and find your authority in your niche. I think that's one of the first challenges. I think boundaries are quite hard in the online space. It can be pretty much a 24/7 activity if you let it. And I think, what's the other biggest thing about the online space? I think it's very easy to get pulled in all sorts of directions, because you are looking at what everyone else is doing. You're looking at what everyone else is telling you to do. And I think you have to be very, very focused and just stay in your lane and trust yourself. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, and know that what you're doing is okay, because it's not about what other people do. It's not about what other people want. It's about what you want and how you want to do it.
Exactly. And it's that thing of you can learn from those that have walked the path before you. That's really, really important. That's why coaches and things like that exist, because you're leaning into that knowledge to get somewhere quicker than you would have done on your own. But it's so important to know your why and have that capability to, and your vision, and have
Yes.
that capability to stay blinkered,
Yeah.
and have that laser focus on, right, I can see that that's how they do it, but I said I was doing it this way. I believe in how I'm going to do it. And my comparisonitis is terrible. And I
Mm.
put people on pedestals. Like I see somebody getting a result and I'm like, oh, aren't they amazing?
Yeah.
Honestly. And people have to kind of bring me back. They're like, then you do remember they're still human beings.
Yes,
Like you
I
do
know.
remember that, and they're not maybe not telling you the full story of quite how they got here.
Yeah,
I saw a
it's
comment that
exactly
you
that.
put the other day, and somebody asked something in one of the groups, and it was about what did you wish you knew when you started your business, and you said how long it actually takes.
Yes. The
Somebody being
whole,
honest about how long it actually takes.
the whole I made 20K in a day does not wash with me at all.
No. No, and it's just that, and I think for me, and I think the two things that my clients roll their eyes when I get in contact with them of like things is vision and consistency.
Yes.
Because I'm just like, you have to have whatever consistency looks like to you, you have to have it. But if you want to get somewhere fast, you need to have fast consistency. If
Mm.
you're all right about getting there slower, then that's fine. Have that consistency. But no matter whether you're showing up on Instagram, Facebook, in real life, at a local networking group, emailing local businesses, however you're promoting your business, doesn't just need to be social media. You have to have that consistency and you
That's
have
right.
to be seen. And I
Yeah,
think people don't realize how blinking hard that consistency is.
it can be, yeah, but consistency doesn't mean all the time.
No,
Consistency means regularity.
yes,
If you want to email your email list once a month because that's enough for you and you believe it's enough for them, as long as you're doing it once a month, every month, that's
yeah,
consistency.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's having that, what's consistency, not constancy. But
Yes, that was the word I was looking for. I knew it was another C, but I couldn't think what it
But
was.
it's that thing. But when people say to me, and I am honest with them, and somebody says, oh, but that person grew really quickly in 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, but they were everywhere.
Mm,
And there was a reason that they were everywhere. Now, there's strategic things you can do that you're not physically in all of those places that you're seen. You can schedule, you can do podcasts, you can do different things to be seen in lots of different places, and always know there's something out there that people can find you and see you. But if you want that fast growth, that consistency does need to be a daily thing that you do.
yeah,
But you can make a decision as a business owner of what type of growth you want and what
that's
that
right.
looks like.
I think you have to manage your expectations as well, because those people that grew so quickly, there could be one little anomaly that allowed them to do that. So um, it could be they brought in customers, because that does happen. Doesn't necessarily mean they're the right customers. It could be they did one post or reel that went viral. And I'm never going to be a viral person because
No,
marketing is just not that interesting. So I'm never going to go viral. So that's never going to happen for me. And it could be that, maybe they had a friend who was shutting down a Facebook group and they pushed all those people over. And sometimes it's just as beautiful as they have that one perfect niche that not many people are in. And that's where they get their growth from.
and that is
We're both in quite a
true.
saturated sort
Yeah,
of
but
sector of the industry.
yeah, and that is true. But you will find that the people who, to go viral, they would have to be consistent with their social
Yeah,
media. To take over somebody's Facebook group, they'd have to have the visibility and the opportunity to do so. But so it's still people positioning themselves at a point
100%
to get
agree.
that.
Yeah,
And there's just, for me in the online space, I think it's such a wonderful space.
mm,
But there's too many people that look and think, I would like it to happen like this, but don't
yeah,
realize the work that's gone in. And it's that 10-year overnight success thing. People forget how long other people have been doing it. People forget how, you know, the consistency, what they look like. A client yesterday contacted me yesterday, and she's had incredible success in her group and the growth of her email list recently. And I said, what do you think the biggest change has been? And she was like, it's compound effect. It's
Yeah.
what I was doing 6 months ago. She's like, when you told me to do my stories this way, and I did, and she did have a reel go viral, but that was last summer. But it still attracted people to her, and because she wasn't talking about herself a lot. And then all of a sudden, all these things happen to her, and you think, how does that happen all of a sudden? But it's not all of a sudden.
No, that's right. And I mean, I wouldn't be on this podcast today if I hadn't been consistently visible
Yeah.
since May last year.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said to you before when we chatted on this podcast, and it's not the first time I've said it to you, I'm like, you are everywhere. You
Yeah.
are everywhere. I'm seeing you everywhere. But as you said, it's with intention. I can
Yes.
see you talking about, I can see, and I did say to you, I've seen that trajectory that you have gone on, that from starting off and now how you're talking about your offers and how your offers look different and feel different, the clarity and the confidence that you now have because you're doing that foundational work. And I say doing, not done, because you've
It's
just said
constant.
it's a continuous, you know, it's a continuous feast. It's, you know, you keep going and you keep going with it. But I can see the successes that you are having, and it's wonderful. Wonderful
Thank
to
you.
watch. You're welcome. So, as I always do, I ask people to prepare 3 answers to questions to bring with them, a little show and tell, if you will, of their joy things. So we
Yes.
start with your joy spotlight. So that's a favourite thing that has shaped your life, business, or work.
So I'm going with a favourite saying, which I've initialised, and most people will know what this means, JFDI. So
You can say it if you want. If everyone's got any children listening.
I'll say the polite way, just flipping do it. I actually have this as a framed print on my office wall because I'm the sort of person who always thinks that everything has to be perfect before I go public with it. I did this when I was doing a lot of racing and in running and triathlon. It took me a long time to get over the fact that I was never going to be the best, but it shouldn't stop me from trying. And there were other areas where I could excel, like my age group. And I was the same when I started an online business. I thought, I can't launch anything until it's all perfectly polished and finished. And I can't even talk about it or tease it. And then I can't remember how or why I did my first messy launch, but I did. And nothing bad happened. That's the take home point from that one. And I really cottoned on to the mantra that done is better than perfect. And sometimes you just have to JFDI.
Yeah. And I do, and I completely agree with that. And I'm all for messy action. I'm all for, I think I said when I launched my membership, I just had to pull the plaster off and do it.
Yeah.
And I was a bit like that when I launched the Joy Work Club. I think I was 8 weeks or something into launching my business. And there I was launching this community that I had no blinking idea what. I hadn't really been on Facebook, never mind launching a community on there. And I just have to go with my gut on it. And whilst I think it's important to have clarity of your messaging and know who you're talking to and things like that, you can spend too long. And as small business owners, as solopreneurs, or however we all identify, we have to do all our market research really, really quick.
That's
And
right.
sometimes our market research is putting an offer out there. We don't have times to do focus groups and discussion groups. We've just got to fail fast.
Yeah, so I'm trying to really adopt the sell it then build it method, because ordinarily if I was going to sell something, I'd have the entire funnel, automation, course, master shop, whatever it is, all set up, completely finished and ready to go before I sold it. But that can mean that you don't sell any and you've done a whole raft of work that you didn't need to do. So I'm really trying to adopt the sell it then build it. So I'm putting out a free workshop next week. The sales page is done, the funnel's done, but what I haven't actually done is completely planned out the workshop. But the other thing that it allows you to do is not only avoid work you don't need to be doing, but it also allows you to get chatting to the people who are joining to find out exactly what they want from it and then to adapt the workshop around those people.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I launched my membership, and I would still say, so the membership is now 6 months or so in, and we're still adapting, we're growing together. It's been the space that the members want it to be and what the members need, and they have input, rather me telling them what stage they're at their business, what they need to do within their business, all of those things. They come and say, right, I'm really struggling with this. I'm like, right, okay, well, next month, do we all agree we need to focus on this and this is what we'll do together? And it's really important because you just want to make sure, like you're talking about your heart-led clients. For me, I always talk about my dreamy clients. You know, my dream client is my one person that I work with who it's easy to work with. They're ready to go. They're wanting my expertise. I've got expertise to give them. It's that perfect connection. I've got lots of ideal clients, but they might be a little bit more difficult to work with. They might take a little bit longer to get the results. That dream client is the person that just fits right into the mold that you can really get the success out of, and also they can get the best of you and get the best out of you. And I just think it's really important to learn from them and adapt from them. And when, like you say, when you're speaking to them, as I say, we're not at a point in our business where we can say, right, I'm taking a month out to do research.
Yeah.
You know, we need to keep generating that income, but we can do that at the same time as learning and adapting in the field with what our customers or clients are asking for. So it's really, I love that you're going to do it. And I do think, and some people don't like messy action. And I'm like, but messy action can still be professional and messy action can
Exactly.
still be intense. Like you use the word intentional a lot. And if you're doing it if you know what your intentions are, if you know what result you're looking for, then that is when it matters. Messy action's bad when you're talking about one thing one day and then another the other, and it's a bit of a scattergun or throwing spaghetti at the
That's
wall.
right. Yeah. Messy action just means it's not polished and perfect. It doesn't mean it's not well thought out. It doesn't mean it's something that your purpose-led heartline clients don't want.
Exactly that. Okay, and the second one is the inspired by joy. So that is something that has truly inspired you, a book or a mentor or something along those lines.
So I couldn't pin this down to one single personal thing, but when I was thinking about like, what am I inspired by? I'm inspired by women who create thriving online businesses, and especially those who do so whilst juggling their caring responsibilities, navigating chronic illnesses, embracing neurodiversity, or managing life changes like menopause. And the reason they inspire me is because of their ability to persevere, to adapt and build something meaningful despite the challenges they're facing. Because that's a constant reminder of the strength and creativity that we all have within us. We just need to tap into.
Yeah.
And their stories really fuel my passion for helping others create businesses that fit their lives and prove that success is possible on your own terms.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. And as I say, I have a danger of putting people up on a pedestal. But what I am learning, and certainly is part of my thought process and goals in 2025, is the women that I admire are actually the ones who are telling it like it is, but not in a badge honor way.
Yeah.
This is just my life way.
Yes.
This is just how it is way. And sometimes I am sleek and professional and showing up, and you're going to wonder how I do it. And other days I have a good cry, but I can still show up for my business on the same day. You know, it doesn't, you can do the professional woman and the woman who's not quite sure how she's going to get through the day are the same people.
That's
and they
right.
can exist in the same hour as well as in the same day. And those are the women that I see. But what I love about it when I see it happen is the passion they have, the dedication, the laser focus. They're like, no, I'm in my lane and this is what I'm doing. I can see everyone's doing everything else, but I'm going to continue to do this. And the boundary setting that they have.
It's interesting you say that, because I did a masterclass, not Monday, we've just had the one before. So I had 69 people booked onto this masterclass. Half an hour before I did the masterclass, I was in tears. But I'm quite good at thinking. So when I did a lot of long distance running and triathlon, and lots can go wrong in a long distance race. And I realised that it's about how you tackle the thing that's gone wrong. So you can spend all your energy thinking, it's not fair, why me, I'm really angry, I'm going to throw my bike in the hedge, or whatever you want to do. Or you can spend all your energy thinking, right, what do I need to do to get myself back in the race?
Mm-hmm.
And I think with online business, it's exactly the same. You have your ups, you have your downs. When you have your downs, you can spend all your energy feeling sorry for yourself, or you can spend all your energy thinking, what do I have to do to get myself back in the race?
No, and that's exactly it. And for me, and we did speak a little bit about this before, is I am an extremes person. So it
Yes.
can all be within, I say the same day, but it could be within the same hour sometimes. You know, I could be downstairs having a temper tantrum that the whole world is collapsing and then have a Zoom call with a client and be like, hi, and they've not got a clue what has just happened in this house. So, but I just think that's really important. And we have to have the one thing that any business owner, regardless of whether it's online, offline, wherever, whenever, is resilience.
Yes, resilience.
Because
I love that word,
you're
actually.
not going to be able to deal with the highs as well as the lows if you don't have the resiliency, because the highs bring their issues.
Yes.
You know, and it's a complete roller coaster. But the women that I admire are the women that can say, I failed, but here's what I did about it. This
Yeah.
went well, and here's why it went well. But also those that can be boundaried and say, these are the days that I work. This is when I don't. This is what happens. When I'm launching, I work a lot harder. And this is what it looks like. Then I make sure I've got 2 weeks off, or however their business looks. Just those are the ones that I look and like, you're getting it right. I know you'll
Yeah.
completely get it wrong sometimes because that's just life,
Yeah.
but you're working towards getting it right. And that's what I admire. And you're
Yeah.
following your dream, not cookie cutter dream that you think that you should follow.
Yeah, and the thing is, everybody gets it wrong sometimes. Even the people right at the top with their shiny hair and their perfect clothes, they get it wrong as well. I mean, last year I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve, and I kind of stomped around the house saying to anyone who would listen, oh, it's a bit ironic. I'm a visibility and growth strategist, but I haven't even grown my own business. Well, actually, I had grown because I started from zero and I ended up with, how many did I end up with? About 300 on my email list. I ended up with clients, just not as many clients as I wanted to. But it was what I learned from that. And I just thought, right, why haven't I achieved what I wanted to achieve? Oh, I haven't done the one thing that I tell every single one of my clients to do, have a goal and have a plan. What am I going to do next? Well, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have a goal and a plan for 2025. And now I've got the clarity and focus. I'm already achieving what I set out to achieve.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think vision is so important, because people do it at the beginning and they think what they think the vision is going to be, but you have to continually work on it. You have to look and think, right, where's that vision gone? Oh, there it is. Yes, that's still what I want. Am I on track? Brilliant, I am. Or no, I'm not. Realign, what can I do next to get on track? It's not about beating yourself over the head with a big stick of you're doing it wrong, you failed, you've not done this, it's not good enough. You're just like, no, I said I wanted that, gone a little bit off track. Here I am back on.
Yeah.
What can I do to get back on there? And it's so important to look at your figures and see that growth, because
That's
we
right.
can think that we're not growing and we can think that we're not doing. And I think I looked at my figures at the end of the year and I was like, oh, my audience isn't as big as I thought it was going to be, and that it had grown by 50%.
Yeah, I actually track my figures every week because you can get to the end of the week and think, oh, I've had a rubbish week and I've not achieved anything. And then you just look at your figures and think, oh, well, I grew that by 20 and I grew that by 50. Didn't realise I'd done that.
But that's it. You don't realise where it's coming from. And then it allows you to then look from a marketing point of view and think, well, what did I do for that to happen? Oh, yeah, I went on that podcast, or I was in that audience, or whatever it was that you did. I sent out an email. And all of a sudden you can think, that's where that growth comes from. I can now do more of that because I know that that now works. And likewise, because I do my figures every week, there was a particular time last summer and I looked at my figures and I went, why is it not growing? I don't understand. I did everything last week. I did everything. I hadn't done everything. I hadn't sent an email. And if I didn't done my figures, I wouldn't have looked at that. Because if somebody had said to me, did you send an email? I'd be like, yeah, I sent one on Tuesday at the very least, if not more. And I didn't realise that a week had passed.
And you hadn't done one.
And without having it written down in a schedule, in a strategic place that meant I got it done. So I didn't get the growth that week that I'd seen the previous weeks before. And if I hadn't been doing the figures, and so many business owners are like, oh, my audience isn't big enough for me to do figures, or my business isn't big enough. No, as soon as you start your business, you need
I've
figures.
done figures since day one. Because
but that's our background.
I wanted
That's
to see that zero turn into double figures.
The weeks is like, still zero. Yep, still zero. But then as it moves.
It's interesting because that's all. It's really motivational as well, because you now know that your email marketing has a really significant impact on
Yeah.
your figures. So that's motivating. What you're doing works.
Mm-hmm.
But when I goal set, I like to set a good, better, and best goal, because you're always striving for something more. You've got 3 bites of the cherry for achieving a goal. You've always got something to celebrate.
No, that's it. And it's so important. And it's just so
Yeah.
important that, and you have those. And I always say, if somebody says to me, oh, it would be nice if it was 1,000, wouldn't it? Well, but I can't say that because there's no way I'll get it. I'm like, well, say it, put it out loud,
Yeah.
put it on a board, aim for it. Because even if you don't get there, do you know what? You'll get a lot further trying.
Yeah. And there's always next year.
And you'll be a lot further on. You
A
might get
goal
to
doesn't have to be a
600.
yearly goal. You could have a
No.
2-year goal, 3-year goal, 5-year goal. As long as you then break it down into years and down into months, you will
Yeah.
get there in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We definitely think the same way on that front. So, and then you've got your joy killer, the one thing that you think can just...
So I've briefly touched on this, but the thing that I would absolutely ban from the online industry is the "I made 20k in a day" ads. And the reason for this is twofold. Number one, you didn't. There have been months, if not years, of unpaid work that went into building your audience and launching the thing that made you 20k in a day. The only reason you made 20k in a day, because that was your cart open and close period. And the second reason that I would ban this is because I really don't like people defining what success likes. I think that success is a really individual thing. And whilst for some people a 20k day or month is their aim, I know some people who view £500 a month as success, and that's okay. The idea that success requires constant grinding, sacrificing your well-being and working endlessly just steals the joy from running a business. And instead, I'd replace it with focusing on balance, boundaries, building a business that aligns with your life and not the other way around.
Yeah. And it's so important. And that bit about what your success looks like is really crucial. And because I'm building a community, and because it's called the Joy Work Club and everything that comes along with the word joy, since the beginning, I have been really, really clear on who I am and what's important to me and what success might look like to me. But when I'm working with clients, when I'm talking to people within the community, I'm like, you can write what your success looks like. And I remember one of my very early clients, within the first few months, it was before Christmas of the first year, and I launched in this September. And she said, I'd really like your help, but you're going to think my goals are too small.
Yes.
And
I've had that said to me as well.
I said, well, I would never think your goals were too small. If your goals are your goals and that's what you want to hit and they feel big, as long as you're not keeping yourself small, there's a difference.
Yes.
Then I will work with you of how you need to be worked with. And she's like, well, I only want to make this much this year.
Yeah.
And then
And
again, I
that's
looked at the
absolutely fine.
percentages for her, and the percentages were something like a 40% uplift. And I said, so you want a 40% uplift in what you earn? She went, well, I'd never looked at it like that. I said, that's huge. That's a big, bold goal. You're making like a bold statement saying you want that. Just because it's an X figure that isn't a 6 figure, that isn't you saying you want to take over the world, that you want to be the next most powerful woman in the UK. You're not saying that. This is just, she says, I said, well, what difference will that make for you? And she was like, it'll make a real difference to my family and it'll give us the dream year that we want.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
exactly.
that's the biggest goal you could have. Don't ever say that your goals are too small.
Yeah.
Unless you're keeping yourself small. That is a different thing. And I just think it is so important. And when I work with clients and if they say to me, oh, well, this is my business, what would your goal be? And I said, well, it can't be my goal. Because if I had your business, I'd want to be the number one in the UK. Because that's my personality type. That's who I am. I said, but that might not be yours. You might want to provide the best value. You might want to build greatest community. It might be an income goal. It doesn't matter what it is, but you have to decide what success looks like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why my vision is to create success for women, because it doesn't matter what success means to you. If that's what you want, I will get you there.
And I think it's that there's lots of businesses and there's lots of people that I admire that they're at the moment that their values and what they're building is more important than necessarily the income figure they want to generate. And the reason that I admire it is because they are honest and brave enough to say that.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily something that I would agree with. I need the income along with everything else. that's just who I am. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I won't take the income at a deficit for everything else. I won't do something that isn't in alignment. I'm working incredibly hard to make sure that that stays in alignment. But yeah, I really admire when people can just be honest and say, but this is what my success looks like, and this is what's really important to me, and that's what I'm going towards.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important when you work with somebody as a coach or a mentor or a strategist that you really listen to that from them and not
That's right.
try and say, oh, but do you not want to earn 6 figures? Because that's what, do you not want the 10K months? Is that not what? No, I don't want them. You know, as long as it's for the right reasons. And we
Yeah.
go back to that word intentional again.
Yeah, yeah. And I often like to talk to people about what do you need over what you want, because I think some people get mixed up with what they want and what they need. And that's when their goals become overinflated, and it's not actually something that brings them joy. They're just thinking, oh, that's what I've got to do because that's what everyone else is doing. But no, what do you need versus what you want?
Well, that's it. But it's this thing. It's like that, like you've said, the 20K days, but there's this 10K months bandied about. But to some people, 10K months for the business would not even be near enough. And for other
That's right.
people, 10K months would be brilliant. But what do you mean? Do you mean £10,000 turnover? Do you mean profit? Do you mean what
Yeah,
you take home? What are we talking about here?
yeah.
Because it's just a figure. It's just a number. And I know what I want in my business and the profit that I want so that I take money home and I get wealth
But I know
eventually.
that some people, they find it uncomfortable talking about money.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they find it overwhelming if they are thinking, right, I want a 5K month, and that seems really undoable and really overwhelming. So that then what I want to do is equate it back to, right, how many people do you need to serve to do
Yeah,
that? So let's say it's 10
exactly.
people, and they're like, you're going to help 10 ladies this month. And that's then it isn't overwhelming because you were doing something for them.
Mm-hmm.
You take the money out of the equation, you're helping 10 women this month to do XYZ, but the money comes with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, it's so important. It's so important to work backwards, and people have no idea how they're going to get there. Or sometimes they don't understand how easily they could get
Yes,
there
that's
when they've
right.
got so many people have got the right foundations in their business, but they're
Yeah,
chasing the wrong things, or they don't have the right strategy in place. Then all of a sudden you show them, and before you know it, they're hitting the months that they never dreamed they were going to hit.
yeah. So many times people have said to me, right, I want to earn this in the next month, but I won't be able to do it. And I've said to them, okay, but how many clients would you need to serve in order to do that? And as soon as they've done the equation, they're like, oh, I didn't realize it was that low.
I could maybe do that. This is actually now a doable thing.
Yeah.
So if people want to come and work with you, find out more about you, where's the best places to find you?
So I host a wonderful community on Facebook for free. It's called the Online Business Visibility and Growth Community. It's a super friendly, super engaged group, and I really enjoy running it. I know lots of people are shutting down their Facebook groups. I love my Facebook group. It's
Good,
staying.
good. But I think it's, again, we'll come back to the word intentional. It's the reason that you have it and what you have it for. And you're at a place of visibility and growth within your business. And if it's
That's
somewhere
right.
you're enjoying, you're finding your dreamy clients and you're enjoying being in there, then why not? Why not?
Exactly. And I've had, let me just quickly do the maths. I've had about 17 new ladies join my group this week.
Lovely. Brilliant. And it's not always about the numbers. It's not
No.
always about the numbers that come in, but it's those people that you can talk to and be in a community with. And one thing that's been really important for me, and the reason I started mine, was I was a bit of a lone wolf. I thought that I didn't need a lot of people around me, and I am a bit of an introvert and can do my own thing and quite
Mm.
happy in my own space. But I realized how lonely it could actually be. And I thought, if I'm feeling lonely when I don't need a lot of people around me, my goodness, there must be a lot of people just wanting a nice space to just say, I'm finding it a bit difficult. How do I do this? How can I show up like that? Doesn't mean running a community is easy. It
No.
definitely isn't, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And the one thing that I ask everybody before they leave, before they get to leave, is
Yes.
what joy do you want to leave behind?
So I want to leave behind the joy of empowerment. And this is why lots of people say to me, do you do done for you services? No, I don't, because I want to empower women to do it themselves. What I absolutely love is helping people feel confident, capable and supported as they pursue their dreams. And just knowing that I've even made a small impact on someone's life or business would be the greatest joy of all.
Absolutely love that. I love that. And I love the fact that you want to empower people. And I love the fact that you say you won't do done for you services for that reason, because you want to leave them capable of running their businesses, which is so important to know your business and how
Yeah,
it runs. So yeah, well done for empowering
thank
women.
you.
And I can see the way your 2025 is going, and I'm going to be very excitedly watching you as it grows, because I've seen just the small things that have happened to you in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I've had a great
Everyone,
start to the
you
year.
have had a great start to the year,
Yeah,
but it's that compound, it's that consistency, it's everything you were doing last summer is now coming home to roost.
that's
And
right.
that, if anybody's going to take anything from this podcast, that is the thing to
Yes.
take. Thank you
Don't
so
give up, I
much
think.
for joining me today, Bryony. I think we could talk about data and figures and marketing for quite a long time, but we might lose a
Told you
few.
about my spreadsheet, yeah.
I know we haven't even talked about that, and formulas, and yeah, we could go on. Marketing is definitely a passion once you are in it. But thank you for joining me today,
Oh,
Bryony.
thank you for having me. It's been
Thank you.
wonderful.
And that's a wrap on today's conversation with Bryony. I hope you got as much from that conversation as I did. There's certainly things that you can go and take away today. But as always, I'd like to give my 3 big takeaways. Number 1, that visibility isn't just about showing up, it's about showing up with intention. Throwing content into the void and hoping for the best won't cut it. That you need strategy, that you need consistency, and you need a clear message. And ultimately, that you can just show up as yourself, that you are enough, and actually, you are your superpower. So, show up in that authentic way makes visibility so much easier. Number 2, success looks different for everyone, and that's okay. Forget the one size fits all blueprint, the cookie cutter. Build a business that works for you, not just what social media success should look like, and not thinking that it needs to be about 6 figures, millions, the biggest launches. What is important to you, and build that business. And number 3, that adaptability is key. The online space is always evolving. Now, let's face it, the business world is always evolving. And if you want to thrive, if you want to grow, if you want to succeed, then you need a bit of resilience, but you need to be willing to shift, experiment, and refine your approach. You need to not be scared to try and fail, because that ultimately is where the lessons will be. If you are ready to get a little bit more strategy into your business, you want to know more about strategy, or you want a fun way to get it into your business, then I have an offer for you with my 21-day strategy sprint. And that's available now. In over 21 days, you'll build a solid, actionable strategy that actually moves your business forward step by step. No fluff, just impact, simple, quick tasks that you can do. And by the end of February, you could be feeling great about the strategy in your business. It's £21. Head to the link in the show notes to sign up. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, hit follow or subscribe so you never miss a new one. If you're feeling extra generous, and I will love you forever, leave a quick review. It helps more business owners like you find the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending your time with me. And always, always lead with joy. I'll see you next week.